episode of Underground Chainsaw Aficionado, where we want to discuss all of your obscure chainsaws and antique chainsaws, collectible chainsaws, and other ridiculously amazing chainsaws. I'm your host here, Mustache Joe. And
Joe, I'm gonna put on caller number 3. Hey, Joe, how's it going? I love your show, man. I listen, long time listener, first time caller.
Oh, wow, thank you for the
I got a
attention.
question. I got a new
Go for it.
Igabigaboo chainsaw, and I can't cut through steel.
Well, your biggest problem there is the brand, actually. That's not a steel chainsaw. Those are best if you oil them.
Welcome, everybody, to the real podcast, IBC's Evil Safety Dudes. This is a show about all things safety, all things OSHA. Basically, to sum it up, how not to die at work.
For the entire podcast, I might just whisper quietly into the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. AJ Hanscom, and he is an OSHA authorized outreach trainer, and he's taught, I don't know, over 100 bloodborne pathogen courses, I'm sure, and done many consulting and seen a lot of blood in the field with all the accident investigations he's done.
And I am joined in the IBC podcast fort with Mr. Aaron Iacino, who is a OSHA authorized outreach nurse.
Yes, that's not actually a thing. An OSHA outreach
I'm an
authorized
outreach nurse. Yeah. What if he's like a
You combine a couple
OSHA
titles there.
Safety and health nurse. There you go.
I am a registered nurse, and so no stranger to bloodborne pathogens.
Well, it's important to mention in an episode about bloodborne pathogens.
Yeah,
I'm
for
sitting
sure.
Here with a nurse.
I've picked up my fair share of fingers off the ground.
Gross.
Yeah, as a safety guy.
I wish I could have picked up more fingers.
Don't get me started on bloodborne pathogen stories from 10 years working in hospitals.
Well, not just hospitals, though. You had a specific area in hospitals.
Yeah, I was a psychiatric adolescent nurse. So,
but like the lockdown psych ward.
Yeah,
where
for
we
sure.
worried about like violence.
Some of the most intense patients in the whole state.
So I'm guessing on a regular basis, regular nursing aside, now you have violent patients.
Which means sometimes they throw poop at you.
Gross. Not fun.
And they try to pee on you.
So what you're telling me is I'm not just worried about blood. I have to worry about poop?
Well, there could be blood in feces.
Yeah.
So you got to treat all bodily fluids as if they contain blood and are hazardous. So, yeah, no stranger to bloodborne pathogens.
For sure, right?
And as a mixed martial arts gym owner, I had to clean up a lot of blood Saturday.
This is just regular.
On
This
the
is
mats.
just Saturday blood.
It was a good open mat. We have this belt holding pro MMA fighter, and then this new guy came in who wanted to spar with him.
Ooh.
And started throwing hard, and our guy doesn't take that well, and so he got him.
So did this guy come in to like challenge the champ, or
No,
is this guy
I
kinda
think he
came
just
in and
didn't
he's
know
just,
his strength,
okay,
and he was swinging hard.
so it wasn't,
but he's a big
intentional,
guy,
like, he
so
didn't
when
mean to.
No, I don't think he was intentional,
start
but
anything.
but our guy doesn't handle that well when he gets hit hard. He then hits hard back.
Most of us don't,
and
yeah.
I had to go break, and then we had to clean up blood.
Well,
A lot of it.
oh no,
It was just a nosebleed, but it was like
Wasn't
on
like
the
a
wall
broken
mats, on the floor
Oh,
mats.
no.
Yeah.
They got all over the place.
Yeah, and then I had fighters that were still sparring, like stepping in it. Now I got a blood trail, and I'm like, oh, great, this is fun.
Good contact tracing right there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as your
So,
blood got on this guy on
Yeah.
this mat to that person.
so anyway, let's talk about occupational stuff, though.
Yeah, we well for sure. But if you can, pump the brakes and tell me how you've been. I haven't seen you.
Well, I mean, I could use that story. We had a good
I've
intense,
been good cleaning blood.
good intense open mat the other day. No, the gym's going well. We got a lot of fighters competing now.
Good.
We had one just competing in boxing. We got 2 more competing in MMA. We always have a ton competing in grappling tournaments.
Nice.
We got another one doing a boxing show coming up. So it's really just been fun to train folks for a long time, but then to travel with them and see them use them skills in a competition and see them do well. It just makes you really proud. So we're kind of in that phase in our gym, so it's fun.
Nice.
How about you? What's new?
I'm just getting super hyped up to be back outside again. It's getting nicer, temperature changing, things are getting better. So I started cleaning my deck, my patio, and
Spring cleaning.
getting my grill ready. That's mostly what I'm really excited for. Have the grill out, ready to go. I gotta build my pergola still. We tore it down last
What's
year.
a pergola?
It's like a wooden lattice that's over like a patio. It's like all this like interlocking pieces of wood.
So it's not a gazebo.
No, but you can build a pergola over a gazebo.
Okay.
It's like that wooden thing that just sits on top that overhangs it. And
Okay.
so I had one last year.
I'll have to Google it.
Mine was honestly rotten. It was falling apart. It was terrible. It was a death trap. And as a safety person, I wouldn't let it stand. So you actually hooked me up with a cool dude, came over. We got it safely taken down.
Nice.
And now this year, I want to build a new one. So
Makes sense.
I'm kind of getting everything cleaned up, getting the patio ready to go. I want a grill, but I want this nice pergola set up so I can invite company back over so it doesn't look
and
like
it doesn't fall on them and kill them.
Oh, my gosh,
And
right?
you're like, I'm a safety professional.
Dude.
And they walk out with a wood sticking out of the neck. And then you got bloodborne pathogen on your burgers.
On the burger, I just flip it. You just flip it.
Heat, man.
That's
Heat,
right.
Fire kills.
Those burgers had blood in them to start with.
That's
What's
it.
a little more blood, right? You just turn it over.
All right, so
Well, we're terrible. We just lost half our listeners. That's it.
but bloodborne I got asked what day is it? So coming up, I have to go do bloodborne pathogen training for this company.
Okay.
And they asked me, they said, "Do you mind if we eat while you talk?" And I go, "No, I don't. Actually, eating makes all safety training better.
It really does.
When
having something else to do,
when
Isn't
you
that-
eat, safety training's better. And the better snacks, the more they're going to say my class is good.
But
So don't give them carrot sticks." I said, "However, I am going to show a lot of gross stuff."
don't give them carrot sticks.
And they're like, "We take that under advisement." So
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some bloodborne pathogen while people are eating. And
Yeah.
we're gonna see how that goes.
Let's go over hepatitis.
Yeah.
Hey, class, let's go over fecal transmission.
Well, you know how we show videos
Yeah.
mixed in with our PowerPoint slides, and
Have you
and
seen
bloodborne
some of my
pathogen,
ridiculous ones I put in there?
Yeah. So I cannot use that.
Ah,
I'll tell you why later off air.
camera,
But
okay.
it's a certain nuance about this company where a lot of that wouldn't fly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's too bad. Some of my new ones are great. I
Yeah,
love your
no.
old one of the guy who breaks the sword. and
yeah,
it
yeah,
guts
that
him.
one's good. Yeah.
But the best part for me about that video is how he's behind the counter and he doesn't stop doing his salesman announcer
No,
voice.
no,
He's
I
like,
mean,
oh,
you know,
that got me good.
the show must go on.
So
The
funny.
show must go on.
The guy at the end, we need surgery in
Yeah.
the studio.
Yeah, that's got to be fake. But they
Oh
did
my
a really
gosh,
good job on that
So
one.
funny.
But anyway,
Sorry, guys.
you got any real life cases that are maybe on the OSHA website or anything that bear mentioning
So
on this?
this one was on the OSHA website. This was a really, really recent one. So I know normally we dazzle you guys with stuff that's happened here locally, but I thought this one was just kind of neat. So I jotted it down.
Lay it on him, man.
Ooh. So here you go. A packaging company, big packaging company, got cited for bloodborne pathogen exposures for its employees because it was allowing its employees to handle biohazard labeled material with no training,
Okay.
no issued PPE, and no controls on the biohazards and no policy.
Okay. I could see how that could get them.
Yeah. They got hit on a lot
Be
of
a
different
tough one to
accounts.
fight if I was assigned that one. I'd
So,
want to know
Yeah,
if they hit them on a bloodborne pathogen standard, like they actually,
Yeah.
the standard number, the Code of Federal Regulation 1910,
Maybe, okay.
like if they actually hit them with a bloodborne pathogen, I would dig and probably like what's in it. Because if it wasn't a bloodborne pathogen and they hit you with a bloodborne pathogen standard, maybe I'd have some wiggle room.
Maybe.
But they got hit, couldn't get out of it. Do you remember
Charged?
find them out?
30-something thousand.
Wow.
Yeah, 30-something thousand for the employees that were exposed, and that's what got paid. So maybe it
We
was,
have a lot of clients
60.
who handle bloodborne pathogens.
Oh yeah.
Or no, let me say it differently. We have a lot of clients that deal with biohazardous material, but they're not always bloodborne pathogens. There is a difference.
There's a difference.
Most of the labs that of our clients, they deal with biohazardous stuff,
Right.
but it doesn't mean it's bloodborne pathogen. So, but that's crazy. So yeah, I mean, if I'm just a guy who loads trucks and delivers and stuff, and now I got to handle a box that's got that crazy, wicked looking symbol on it, the biohazard symbol, and OSHA pops in at me and says, "Hey, are you trained to play with that?" And I go, "No." Yeah, I could see where they would be in trouble.
Yep. And they did their investigation, and that's how it all came out to be at the end. So that one was a little bonkers. Did you have anything? Could you think of? Have we done here a local one where we've gotten to do an OSHA?
I deal with a lot of clients that their employees have bloodborne pathogens
Right.
diagnosed.
I was just racking my brain for
And
OSHA
so
one. I can't remember if we
I've
did or
been
not.
asked to do this training for companies when they found out they had an employee with a bloodborne pathogen. And it's always like, you were always supposed to be doing this training. This is an annual requirement.
You were always supposed to be doing this.
But now, because you know one of your employees has a bloodborne pathogen, now
Yeah.
you want to do the training. And,
Now all of a sudden it means something.
and that's fine. Let's get her done. But,
Right.
For those of you who don't know, this is an annual training requirement.
And it needs to be done every year.
And this topic is not just construction, not just manufacturing.
Nope.
I'm talking about tattoo shops. I'm talking about med spas. Like even an office. There's people hurt themselves and there's blood in an office.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of how a lot of your own personal medical situations go, I don't have to disclose to my employer or my facility if I have a communicable bloodborne pathogen disease. Technically, I have no obligation to tell anybody legally. Couldn't I keep that to myself?
Well, I don't think anybody asks anyway.
Right?
I've never got a job where they asked.
So you could, theoretically,
Even a nursing job.
I don't like to play scare tactics, and you and I prefer to play real world. We don't like to go, oh, you'll be afraid all the time. But realistically, that person that you know or have worked with for years, they could be sitting on a
100%.
disease.
All you got to do to get real probabilities, the CDC has data on how many people have Hep B,
which is growing again.
Hep C, HIV, AIDS. You could even get local data from your district health.
Right.
They put that out every year.
Yeah. You
For
can
real.
find out how many people are in your area
And
that
then
have
you
it.
could know your population, do a little bit of math per capita, and you could realize your probability. And there's some places that have a much higher probability than others, for whatever factors. So that's why, in the hospital, we had a different word for this. We call it universal precautions.
Right, yeah.
And it was treat all bodily fluids as if they are infected. As if, and I always say it differently. Treat all bodily fluids as if they have every disease known to mankind.
That herpetogonosyphilitis.
That's the bad one. It's the new strain of COVID.
This is the new COVID, the herpecovid syphilitis. The herpecovid
21.
syphilitis. 21.
But seriously,
Well, I want to go back to what you just said about every fluid because that trips me up, man. Think about how often you've been seeing TV. Now, I'm going to throw a quiz at you.
Okay.
What if, Aaron, I was out swimming in the ocean
Okay.
and I got stung by a jellyfish? And I remembered I saw on TV somebody said, if somebody gets stung by a jellyfish, pee on it.
Okay.
So could I ask any random stranger, because they also tell me sometimes that urine
this
is
is really gross.
that urine is
question.
100% sterile.
This is probably the grossest question
But
that
Bear Grylls
we've asked.
said that urine is sterile.
It's not sterile. Once it comes through the urethra, then it gets heavily contaminated.
So if I was out there and
Urine is sterile in your bladder.
I couldn't urinate on my jellyfish thing,
let's
so I asked a
pretend
stranger to
you
do
asked
it.
a stranger to urinate on you. All right, let's go back to my open mat on Saturday.
Okay.
These guys are swinging hard at each other.
Right. Beating it. Well, they're
And if they were to take
a
a
dojo,
body shot
okay.
to the kidneys,
Right.
you could urinate blood.
For sure.
Yeah.
Kidney stones
So
have been known to damage stuff on the way out and the way by.
So you could have blood tinged any bodily fluid. Blood.
Sure.
So one of the things that I always mess with people when I'm teaching blood pathogens, and I like to get them going. It's just
terrible.
to cause a fight.
I like it.
Because sometimes the class is quiet on you.
Right.
And so you got to get them angry.
But sometimes that's the best way people will remember stuff.
Well, for sure.
All of a sudden they were into it.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they're like, oh, wait.
So one of my tactics, if my class is stonewalling me on bloodborne pathogens, well, I'll just say out of nowhere, they lied to you your whole life. You can get AIDS from kissing. Oh, and then they'll just flip out.
That's
on
it.
me.
People lose their business.
Oh yeah. No, you can't. No, you can't.
You cannot?
No, you can't. It's been proven. There can't be AIDS transmitted in saliva. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah, well, kind of.
They have not been proven that AIDS is in saliva.
Right.
But I said, But let's pretend you believe me. How could you get a blood-borne pathogen from kissing?
Well, maybe I just flossed.
Well, yeah, and then when they start actually thinking about it,
Right.
you know, then someone usually gets it right. Well, if you have an open wound and they have an open wound and my blood gets in their blood, now the probabilities of that and
Super
all
low.
that, you know,
Right.
but just to get
Actual
people actually
transmission,
thinking about it, because yeah, I mean, I've bitten my cheek eating too fast. I've stabbed the roof of my mouth with a Dorito before.
Yep.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, flossing, brushing.
Right. What about when it gets like winter that we just had, super duper dry,
Yeah.
insanely cold,
Yeah,
all my
chapped
sinuses
lips,
are popping, back of my
cracked
throat is
lips.
all, I mean, everything, yeah.
You could also have bleeding ulcer. You could also
Ooh.
have coughing so hard from an illness
Right.
that you have little blood vessels pop.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You
and-
can have blood in your mouth for so many reasons.
yeah. So you know, just to get people thinking about it. But
But then all of a sudden, it's kind of like, they have that little bit of a moment where they're like, oh, wait a second. That is kind of like maybe unreasonable, but also possible.
yeah, you know, and there could be blood in any body fluid. So then the big question is, Aaron, why are we doing bloodborne pathogen training at XYZ company?
Right.
We don't have sex on the break,
It's
unprotected,
quite a company.
and we don't share needles on break either.
Wow. This
You know,
place is
yeah, they're
good.
like, why are
Excellent.
we doing this? Because AIDS is a sharing needle and an unprotected sex thing. That's what they're telling me.
That's what they tell you.
And they're like, so why are we talking about this at work? And I said, have you ever seen blood at work?
Yeah.
Everybody said, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in your former life in the restaurant industry, did you see blood at work?
Oh my gosh, so much blood.
You know, I mean, I've seen blood in the office. I've gotten a paper cut from a stupid file.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the thick files.
Yeah.
Those bleed.
Man, well, I mean, working where we worked, cardboard, just breaking down boxes at the end of the day to throw them all away. That cardboard will slice you to ribbons.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's got to deal with bloodborne pathogens.
Yeah.
And so, you know, then I ask people too, well, have you ever helped a coworker out and done first aid for him?
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody raises hands, but there's always a few.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have a chance to get a bloodborne pathogen.
Yeah.
Now in our constructions and manufacturing trades, oh my goodness, you know, the
Right.
bloody sharps that are there.
Well, yeah. Their idea of closing up a wound is a little dirt, a little spit, sometimes electrical tape if it's real bad.
You know, we just had an injury not too long ago where a guy was switching hands with the grinder.
Oh, yeah, that
and
was a fun
He
one.
caught his thumb, but anytime a spinning wheel causes the cut, it aerosolizes the blood then.
So what you're
It
telling me
just
is
makes it fly.
if I was in that cloud, I could breathe in blood.
Well, not only breathe it in, you can get it in your eyes, your nose, all your mucus membranes.
Right? It's going to coat my
And-
sinuses in my
and
mouth, and then I'm going
Your
to swallow it.
conjunctiva. Do you know what that is?
It makes me think of pink eye, which is
Yeah.
conjunctivitis.
Yeah. So you know how you take medicine in your eye? There's
Okay.
this very absorptive layer on the underside of your eyelid. That's your conjunctiva.
So that's where you get pink eye, conjunctivitis.
Yeah.
It,
So
like,
you
infects
could
that.
absorb
Ugh.
drugs or someone else's blood through there.
It will
You
go
could,
through there.
yeah. So aerosolized blood through cuts on grinders, chop saws, anything like that. That's why there is that actual rule in the standard that talks about no like food or drink in a work area.
Right, yeah, they actually get very specific about separating food and snacks and drink areas from work areas.
And people hate that rule.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very mad.
They're quite
And
grumpy.
I've actually had employers say, Aaron, I don't want people to eat and drink in the work area.
Mhm.
I want to go the OSHA angle. So I have an actual valid
Right, like
backing,
illegal.
Yeah, to say they
I'm
can't
not just
do
being
it.
a turd.
And they said, and I have looked and looked and looked, and I can't find it. I said, go to the bloodborne pathogen, because that's where you're going to find
Yep.
it. Because if I get cut and my blood splatters, and you got your open can of whatever, and then you go take a drink and you got a cut on your lip, now we got issues.
I need to make a mental note because in my mind, that was also in the HAZCOM standard. I think it's actually in like 3 places. I think it's also in housekeeping.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got like they really.
I know
hammer
for
that
sure
home.
with the same thing in HazCon with the chemicals in the food, because chemicals can splash on the food.
But that's what they said, is no food or drink in a work area where it could be exposed to chemicals.
Yeah.
Like, I think they do that over and over. So, like, an employer has a real good leg to stand on.
Right.
We can separate.
Even, we got a lot of folks that we deal with, they got a pack of cigarettes in their shirt pocket.
Gosh. Right there.
And if blood got on those, and then they go put that in their mouth. And
all the time, it's either like open or it's old and damaged. So you can see cigarettes.
And they got their spit can. Everybody's got a spit can, and if blood gets all on that rim, and then they do that.
They chew water, and it's just gross.
So, yeah, bloodborne pathogen, it's a real issue for every single industry and every single trade. It's for first aid on an employee. It's for when there's an injury. People can be exposed if they really thought about it.
Right.
So OSHA requires training every single year on bloodborne pathogens.
Yep.
And
they're documented record of that training.
And they're actually pretty strict on it. Like, if you did it in April one year and then in May the next, you went over a year.
You went over a year, and you could get cited.
If they really felt like doing that.
Mm-hmm. So it can be.
And something that a lot of people don't realize about the standard is in the bloodborne pathogens regulation, they do require a live question and answer to be a part of that training.
So it can't just be a video thing that you buy offline to watch. At some point, there has to be live question answer.
Yeah, and if you're going to do that video, then someone who knows something, or at least could go look up something, should go and turn the DVD off and go, "Hi, class. Now I'm here to answer any questions you might have on bloodborne pathogen." And someone raises their hand, and you know for sure the answer, you could answer. If not, get it to them, and that would be kind of a cheater way to get it done.
I mean, yeah, but it would, maybe you could barely skate through the bottom end of that standard that requires that.
You'd want it somehow in your outline or your course, your live question and answer.
Which brings us to that other part, though. Not only do you have to have all this required training, but you have to have a bloodborne pathogen policy.
Oh, yeah.
That's reviewed annually.
Yep.
So you got to have the annual review.
Who reviews policies every year?
Me.
Evil safety dudes.
Oh, you just made me sad.
That's why we're evil. There's so many that require that, and most people aren't doing it.
Having the annual review.
We need one on policies.
We should actually probably do it. I don't know if we could. Well, we have to have a series.
We'll compete with Ambien.
Ambien?
We'll have a podcast on policies. And then we'll have a competition.
Ooh.
What makes people fall asleep quicker? Taking a Lunesta or an Ambien or listening to our policy podcast.
Right, yeah.
But if you're a safety nerd or you're
thrilled.
just in charge or have a safety responsibility, you need to know about safety policies.
Oh, my gosh. So many. So this morning, total sidetrack, I spent 4 hours today customizing and answering questions and uploading policies.
Yeah.
That's all I did for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
My brain almost just melted out my ears. Policies are such a big deal for every company. And bloodborne pathogen, no exception, has a huge policy requirement with the annual review requirement.
Yeah, and you shouldn't just get one of those off Google.
Oh, are you sure? I can't just Google bloodborne pathogen.
A lot of people do
PDF.
it. You know, a lot of people do. They say, "Oh, I just found out I need a bloodborne policy. I'm going to ask my friend who has a company, see if he'll give me his, and I'll just change the name."
Okay, but what if?
But he was a florist and I'm a plumber.
Florist, as in flowers.
Sure, I had to make something up. Plumbers always are friends with florists. You didn't know that?
You answered that really well. I was going to make a bad joke about he's someone who lays down floors.
Okay, a florist.
I'm terrible. Sorry, guys. I apologize for my horrible sense of
humor. But if you don't know, that happens all the time. All the time. Oh, Aaron, yeah. I don't need you to make me a policy. I'm going to get one for my buddy. He's got a company, and he's been in business more than me, so I'm sure he has one. He calls his buddy, he goes, "Sure, I'll send you our bloodborne pathogen policy." Yeah. And they email it to him, and they swap their names from AJ's florist to Aaron's plumbing.
Right.
And they go, "I'm good to go."
They're ready.
I have it. If OSHA asks, I got it.
Right.
And then, lo and behold, some weird thing happens, and OSHA is actually asking for it. And it's like, it says in here that you're going to review bloodborne pathogen incidents every month in your safety committee meeting. And you don't have a safety committee.
You don't have a safety committee.
Nor do you meet, nor do you retain the minutes from it.
Yeah, so you have months of undocumented proof that you needed.
And now OSHA's citing you for something you said you were going to do. It's not even an OSHA rule, but you just got a policy from a buddy. So.
Right. Here's a real one that actually happened. 2018, it's been a minute. But I got put in charge of doing policies for a company, and they were like, no, we don't need all of them. We just need some of them. And I was like, cool, send me what you got. And he's like, I got these from my insurance agent. And I was like, all right, cool. None of them had his own name on it, had his carrier's name on it, and they all said that they were drafts. Okay. But that's what he had. Like, in his mind, he thought that he actually had, like, a dozen policies covering his stuff for years.
Right.
And they all said, XYZ carrier draft.
Yeah.
He had no idea.
So,
his policies were never adopted, never reviewed, nothing. It was rough.
So you got to have a bloodborne pathogen policy. You got to do training every year, and you got to train them on what it needs to be. Now, if you ask me to do bloodborne pathogen training for a hospital, man, I got to do needle sticks, sharps containers. I got to get into because the OSHA rules don't change.
No.
They still want us to engineer away the hazard.
Yep.
The hierarchy controls is still the same
Always
thing.
The same.
They're not like, oh, just give the employees gloves. That's how you're handling blood. No, how about we not make blood? So needleless systems. They want us to have these really cool, it's not new tech, but it's kind of like new tech, where you have self-sheathing needles.
Right. So
I give an injection, I hit a button like a switchblade, and the needle shoots and retracts in there.
Yeah.
But those are super expensive. So they have cheaper ones where I got to move a lid a certain way, and it covers the needle. I don't have to recap. Like, OSHA still wants us to engineer out all of our exposures before we just throw PPE at the prom. Because everybody, we'll just wear gloves. We'll just wear gloves.
Right.
But that's not good enough in OSHA's eyes.
No. And there's so many parts of the standard. There's a housekeeping standard. There's a waste management. There's a biohazard and biohazard disposals part of the standard.
Bags and stickers.
I mean, there's it's actually really, really extensive. And all of that could apply to you has to get trained every year, guys.
When I'm training on bloodborne pathogens, I like to do a scenario. I say, okay, Mike over there, he gets stabbed with a nail, and, he's off over there cussing in the corner.
Right.
And someone else is helping him with first aid, and, you got this blood trail, and you got this blood on this nail. What are you going to do about it?
What you can do about it, huh?
And then,
Be a tough guy.
You know what the number one answer is? Bleach. I go,
yeah.
Great. That's actually in the standard. OSHA will allow you to do it in I think it's a 1 to 10 solution, even in the standard.
It has a time limit.
And I said, hey, man, so you got bleach in your work truck? Well, no.
Well, no.
I said, so, why don't we talk about something you could actually do?
Yeah.
And then the room gets silent because nobody's carrying with them an actual chemical designed to kill viruses.
But I always try to tell people, too, they're not expensive. We find nice bloodborne pathogen cleanup kits for like $10 a pop.
And those are awesome, and I get into that, but there's no disinfectant in there.
Some of them actually come with a spray-on disinfectant.
Well, that'd be awesome. I've never seen one with that.
They're a little more expensive.
They got the little pooper scooper.
Yep. So
they got the little dustpan and brush and the absorbent and a gown and a biohazard bag and a really chintzy face shield.
Oh, it's the worst. And it has to unroll, and it never sits on your face right.
But, it'd be awesome if people actually had something designed to kill viruses.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, some companies do. They actually have styrofoam or some type of chemical that was designed for bodily fluids. And I go, okay, cool. That's awesome. How do you use it?
Well, you spray it on, and then you wipe it off. Duh, Aaron.
And
it's a cleaner.
And, I knew I was teaching ahead of time, so I'll grab a bottle or send somebody out to grab a bottle, and then we'll read the directions, and it'll say must sit 10 minutes.
Right. And all of a sudden, everybody's like,
Yeah, because, you cleaned it. You sprayed some liquid on there. You cleaned the blood up. It looks clean to the eye, but microscopically, there could be a lot of viruses on there because you didn't allow it to sit long enough to actually do its job and kill things.
Which references back to a previous IBC podcast for you listeners out there that remember cleaning versus disinfecting.
Yes, there is a difference. So, there's a lot to it. I like biohazard bags.
They're stronger.
I wish everybody had them. Yeah, there's like a 10 millimeter thick plastic bag. Is super bright red.
Bright, crazy red.
100 of those scary symbols on there.
I think it's just got one on each side.
The ones we got is like littered with them.
Like it's just all over.
I
Like
got
it's
a box
decoration
of them here, yeah. But
Awesome.
nobody buys not nobody, but very few people buy a box of biohazard bags.
Right. Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like we've said so many times. Everybody's reactive.
Yeah.
You never think that you're gonna have a job site covered in blood until you have a job site covered in blood.
People don't train janitorial staff in this properly.
No, janitorial, unfortunately.
People don't
gets
train the laundry
really left
people
behind.
in this.
Laundry.
There's
It's a huge
blood on the
part.
uniforms that they throw in the hamper. You
Mhm.
leave your pen in that pocket.
Yep.
They go and they reach in there and they bunch it all up and
Yeah.
they stab their hand with the pen that
Right.
was in the bloody pocket
Ugh.
and boom, they have an injection of somebody else's blood.
Ugh.
We didn't even get into what to do if you do get someone else's blood in. But maybe one day we'll come back with bloodborne pathogens part 2. But for now, we are out of time. So we thank you all for joining and tuning in
It makes me so sad.
to the Evil Safety Dudes podcast.
I missed my cue that time. You want to do it again?
Yeah. Thank you for joining in and tuning in and logging in and clicking buttons and listening to the Evil Safety Dudes podcast on bloodborne pathogens. And until next time, folks, stay safe out there. Don't die, we're all dog, please.